Okay, so finished one book, moving into another one, rereading Lucifer's Hammer for the first time in at least 15 years. It's one of the best, I think, apocalyptic novels out there. And I think the genius of the book comes from a number of things. One is uh, Larry Niven and Jerry Pournelle are brilliant when they work together. I can't stress that enough. Some of their work has been some amongst the best books I've ever read. But what they did was they wrote a book that was a novel with a disaster in it. They didn't write a disaster novel. Those are two entirely different things. And I think that's the genius of this one. Only a couple of chapters in, but one of the things that I kind of always remember when I pick this thing up again is just how much this thing is a real page turner. And what do I mean by that? Well, for me, for a book to be a page turner, it can't just be conceptual. It can't just be, oh, there's this big rock coming towards the earth, and oh my God, it's going to. I have to care about the characters, right? I think that's one thing that makes a good book really stand out is I actually care about the characters, and I can relate to them in some fashion. So early on in the book, there's a guy who had discovered a comet. Uh, Pictured right there on the first edition cover. And we don't know what the comet's going to do yet. We just know he's found it. It's out there. It's coming, going to circle the sun and come back around just like all comets do. And he's overjoyed. He can't keep that information in. He wants to go share it with everybody. He wants to annoy his friends. Say, "Oh my God, I discovered a comet. Look, it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Look at my comet. Mine, mine, mine." Right? I would do it too if I discovered a comet, had my name on it. Should I'd tell everybody about it, and I wouldn't. You would never get me to shut up. But I can kind of relate to that guy because you get how happy he is. You kind of understand how overjoyed he is. Now I'm a scientist, so it's a little bit different. That character may not be relatable for everybody. But in those same first two chapters, there's also this nuclear engineer who was having trouble at work, and it was kind of funny because he said something. The character had a statement that I thought was kind of cool, and I posted it out there on social media. A lot of people related with the statement, and the statement was the following: "I am an engineer, damn it! I wanted to spend all my time. If I wanted to spend all my time with legal briefs or in a courtroom, I'd have been a lawyer or a mass murderer." Which I thought was a brilliant line because it didn't just stop with lawyer, right? So most people, like, if I want to do this, I'd be a lawyer. And if, as a writer, that you read that kind of stuff, you're like, that's genius, right? Somebody didn't just stop with lawyer; they went on and threw the funny in there. And who hasn't said just stupid things like that when you're talking to your friends? I don't really want to be a mass murderer, but I said one day to somebody, as I get older, I'm starting to understand where serial killers are coming from. I don't want to be one. I know I wrote a book about one, but I'm just saying I empathize with them a little more than I used to, the more often I have to deal with garbage in life. But if you don't, if you don't relate with those two people, well, you get down to the third character, the third sort of character that is going to become a main role. You can see it is there's this woman who's just stuck in traffic on the way to work, and she's trying to organize her thoughts for the day and organize all the stuff she wants to do when she gets to her office. And who hasn't been stuck in traffic going, oh shit, what do I need to do when I get to my office? And how do I remember it all, right? Who hasn't had that moment if you've got any kind of a career? If you're a student, have you been going to campus going, hey, oh shit, what do I have to do today? Is this is ready to turn in? Is my group project finished? Is that, teacher, whatever? So I think that those characters really to me are so relatable and they're so interesting that I want to know what happens to them because I'm like, okay, I know that I've been that in that mode of overwhelming joy. I just can't keep it in. I want to go tell people. I've been the engineer who's frustrated at his desk going, God damn it, do I really have to do all this paperwork? And at the same time, the woman stuck in traffic. Well, I've never been a woman, but I have been stuck in traffic trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to do with my day. And that's what I think separates fantastic fiction novels from not as good ones is relatable characters that you really care a lot about. And one of the things that I'm trying to convince more and more people, especially my kids, is that I used to teach and at a university, and one of the things I found in some students would want to memorize everything for a test, and other students wanted to problem solve, and they wanted to think, and they wanted to understand things. When you read nonfiction, you memorize a bunch of facts and maybe some sticks. When you read self-help, you memorize a bunch of facts and oh, I need to do this. Here's some scripted stuff I gotta do. When you read fiction, it excites parts of the brain that make you want to problem solve. It makes you want to figure out what's going on next with these characters. It makes you want to kind of see, hey, let me put myself in their position and see what it's like. and it helps you kind of think outside the box. And some of the most creative people, some of the most creative students who problem solved better than others when I was teaching physics and astronomy were people who read a lot of fiction. And some of the most creative engineers I've worked with over the years read a lot of fiction. Some of the most creative people in just about any field, I think, have hobbies outside that, whether that's, role-playing games or whatever, to get them into that creative mode and get those juices flowing. And yeah, okay, not everybody can be super creative, but it is a skill you can sort of grow, or it is something you can kind of beat out of people. And I think, growing that skill really makes a lot more sense than kind of beating it out of your students or kids. But and there's more ways to do it than just fiction and role-playing games. Those are just the two I use. So if you haven't read this book, highly recommend it. I read it a couple of times. I am going to finish reading through it again this time, uh, because it is one of the best novels I've ever read. But if you have read it, I'd love to hear your comments about it. If you haven't read it, great, pick it up. Let's talk about it. If you think, it is something you'd want to discuss, drop me a line. I'm happy to discuss just about anything with anybody these days. Um, and click like, subscribe, follow. If you think the book is trash and you read it, let me know that too. Everybody have a great day.